y'all, welcome back to our channel. Today we are going to talk about characterization, but more specifically, we need to look at our characters as human beings because they are. So there are questions that we should be able to answer about them before we even start writing. Because if we don't know who our characters are, it's going to be hard for them to carry a story. Because the story does not need to carry your characters. If you don't know the answers to these really important basic life questions, then it's going to be really hard for not only you to be attached to your main character, but for your readers to be attached to them.
Yeah, I feel like these questions really help you to make sure that your character is being consistent and that their growth is noticeable. Who your character is when the story starts should not be who your character is at the end of the story. It's called the character arc, people, and you should have one.
And it also helps you to make sure that they are 3D. We talked before, we did a whole video on how to make round characters. And this is how we do it. We make sure that we know all these things about our characters before we start writing them.
The first question you need to ask yourself is, how old is your character? This is really important because it also helps you define your genre. Not saying that there can't be children in adult fiction, but normally if your MC is a teenage girl, you are going to be reaching a young adult audience. So not only for the sake of knowing how old your character is, because you want them to act like it, but for the sake of knowing where you're placing your story. For instance, we knew right off the bat with Gemma that we needed her to be in her early to mid 20s and that she needed to be at a place where she should have been in college. So we chose 22, which allowed her to drink, which makes a little fun when you're writing a new adult romance with paranormal twist. And it also allowed for the disappointment that she hasn't met her family's expectations of her to be a little bit deeper, because it feels like time's starting to run out. Although I'd like to point out that 22 is not that old and more than enough time to make some different life choices.
And we knew we wanted it to be a spicy book, and you can't really write too spicy of a book with a 16-year-old main character. The next question you need to ask yourself is, where do they live? Do they live in the North United States? Do they live in the South United States? That makes a difference in how your character speaks. What is the weather like? How should they be dressing? I mean, those seem like little things, but you should know those things about your character. Not only the place, but also the time in history. Are you setting this in present day? Are you setting it in the 80s? Are you setting it in the future? You need to know the time and the place.
I would make sure too that if you're going to write characters that are not from a country that you're from, that you really take a moment and maybe absorb some culture, to watch some TV shows. There's going to be certain things that stand out. If you have a British character calling French fries, every person that is from the UK is going to think you're crazy, because they would never call them French fries. They need to call them chips. There's just little things that you want to make sure you tweak so it doesn't pull your readers out of the story and they're like, oh, clearly this was an American girl trying to write hot British guy.
Yeah, I actually have an example of that too. B.E. Haynes, a fellow Wattpad star who wrote Under Tennessee Skies, she is from the UK and I am from Tennessee. So when I saw this story a long time ago, I was like, I'm about to read this and I'm about to see if this is accurate. Is this like Tennessee really? Wow, it is. I've told her so many times that she really represents Tennessee almost exactly as I would, having lived here almost my whole life. She did a lot of research on the Nashville area, cities that are around us, what the landscape is like, the slang people use, the weather, that it's freaking humid and not just hot. Like everything she does is like super accurate.
The next thing you need to look at is their education or career. If I ask you what your character's education is, what their career is, this should be a question that you can answer even before you started writing your story. This plays a lot into their everyday. If you have a job or if you don't have a job, like What is your character doing to bide their time? What do they do for a living? What do they want to be doing for a living? So are they unhappy in their job? That's going to make a big difference. That you might be really excited if you're unhappy in your job to go jump into a like crazy adventure. Are they happy at their job, or do they need a change? So maybe they really like their career choice, but they're not liking the place they're in. Maybe there's somebody there that is bullying them. It's just not a mentally healthy environment for them. And then did they graduate college? Do they go to college? Are they in high school? Did they graduate high school?
What is your character's family history? This is so important. It's so important. It was really important for Gemma in Spellbound. A lot of our plot would have been if we didn't have the family dynamic that we had. Family struggles can cause a lot of deep-seated issues. What was your character's socioeconomic status growing up? Did they grow up rich? Because that's way different than growing up impoverished. Are their parents still married? Do they have siblings? Do they have step-parents, step-siblings? Are they an only child?
Number 5, their current platonic relationships. So you really want to look at kids, friends, family. Where are they currently with all of these people, and who are they living with?
Number 6 is one of our favorites, especially if you're writing a romance. This is absolutely necessary. Your current and past love life with your characters. Are they in a relationship? That's an important thing right off the bat. Do they have a significant other? Are they in a happy relationship with a significant other? Or are there problems that need to be worked out? Or does the relationship really need to end? What kind of relationship is this? What is your character's sexual orientation? Is your character comfortable with their sexuality?
But number 7 is, are they introverted or extroverted? I cannot tell you how important this is to the way that a character would react with the rest of the world around them. If you have an introverted character, they probably have like 1 good friend, 2 good friends, and then that they see every once in a while, and then their whatever their family dynamic is. These are really important to figure out whether this is going to be somebody that's going to jump into the adventure you are going to have for them, or are they the type of person that would be really reserved and not down with that because they like to stay at home and write all day. There's nothing wrong with that, by the way.
No, there's not.
Some of us enjoy that a lot.
Yes. Number 8. What is your character's current mental state or their feeling about the state of the world around them? Do they have anxiety? Do they have depression? Are they struggling with anything major or minor? There's all kinds of things that you need to explore when it comes to their mental state, because that could be a big part of the plot.
Number 9. This one is so good, and because it feeds in to how things work out with the character, and that is, what is their strength and what is their flaw? We need to know what they're good at, what they're going to excel at, and where they have personality flaws, physical flaws, and how they have to overcome those. You wouldn't want to have somebody that starts off a story as being really clumsy, and now they need to go fight a dragon, and now all of a sudden they pick up a sword and they are miraculously like talented with a sword. That makes 0 sense. If they're clumsy, you don't become unclumsy. You're just trust me, you're just
unfortunately you don't.
Really take a moment to look at what the flaws are and make sure you're working within the boundaries of the flaws, or finding ways, loopholes in your story to make the flaw work for them.
Because you don't want to be having some perfect characters. And we've said that so many times. Your characters have to be flawed. Number 10, this is a big one and has a lot of little subcategories here. What needs to change in your character's life? There has to be something that is changing for them, or what are you writing? There has to be some kind of change going on. And the things that you can ask to get to that is, what are they happy about in their life? What do they not want to change? Are they happy in their career and they don't want that to go anywhere? Are they happy in their relationship? Are they happy with their friends? What is it that they don't need to change? Then you need to look at, what is it that they want out of life that they don't have? And what do they need to do to get that thing? What do they need to do to succeed?
Yeah.
Do they need other people to help them? Do they need people to stay out of their way? You also need to look at what is their biggest fear. Maybe that fear is what's keeping them from changing the thing that needs to change. What keeps them awake at night? I love this. What do they lay there and think about that drives them crazy? What is it that is really disturbing their inner feng shui?
You need to sit down and ask your character these 10 questions in order to make sure that you are conveying them thoroughly and staying consistent with their growth through your story.
And if you want to read some stories that have some really round, dynamic characters, and I'm not just saying that, we have been complimented on that from several different people, even just lately. If you want to read those, go over to our Wattpad at Crystal and Felicity.
If you think of something else we should be asking our characters, leave it down in the comments. I want to know, did we miss something in the 10? Then give us a thumbs up, then subscribe to our channel, then turn on the notification bell so you don't miss a Friday update.
And as always, write what you love.